Hello and welcome to my world and my personal headcanon. Today, we're talking about Joel from The Last of Us. Now, full disclaimer before I go forward with this. One, I am basing my opinions and thoughts on the two Last of Us video games. The original game, or rather the PS4 remaster, as well as The Last of Us Part 2. I have not seen the television series. I am not interested in the television series because I do not watch television. So how the character of Joel is depicted in that will have no reflection on anything I say here. Number two, I am at the time I am recording this, I'm only halfway through The Last of Us Part 2. However, everything major character related as it relates to Joel in terms of his decisions and things of that sort, it's kind of already seen. Plus, the game came out a few years ago, back in 2020. So, a lot of key stuff I was already made aware of. But, seeing proper context and everything, as Eric Bischoff would say, context is king. So let's get right down to it. I am someone who is most firmly in the camp that Joel deserved exactly what he got at the hands of Abby and the remnants of the Fireflies. Simple as that. I'm being open with you right here off the bat as relates to that particular subject here. Because having gone through the entirety of the first game, seeing how Joel is at the very beginning as a protective, potentially single father of a young girl, and the trauma and tragedy of losing her when the mushroom zombie apocalypse happens, and then that big time skip, realizing that okay, he has spent the majority of his life between when mushroom zombie D-Day happens and when the flash forward that he has become jaded. He is doing what he can to survive. He is a scavenger. He was a raider. He's basically just a dude. Just if the world ended for him tomorrow, the very next day, he basically has nothing to live for. All right, so that's the general attitude he has, which makes the interesting case of when he's basically dragged into escorting Ellie across the country with another character whose name escapes me at the time I'm recording this, who is killed off fairly early into the journey. He essentially has to take care of Ellie, and of course, the entire way he's basically taking care of her, and he starts projecting the father daughter relationship onto her. Ellie kind of becomes receptive to it as the story goes along, or at the very least tolerates it. You get the natural bonding. You're going on a long journey and adventure, and okay, so it's natural in that regard. But one also has to remember, and this is what stood out to me when I played the first game, is that Ellie was very much determined to go to the Fireflies in order to see if she in some way could be of help to humanity because she has a natural immunity to the mushroom zombie virus. She was bitten, nothing happened to her, so it's like, ooh, wow, this needs to be looked into. All right, she understands this. She is looking forward to it, not knowing if she would be operated on or she may end up dying on the operating table as she is being examined. But you know what? She kind of, was like, she's all in. She is very much aware of the risks that are involved. Joel, on the other hand, over the course of the first game in the journey, he starts, again, he is viewing Ellie more and more like his daughter, and at the very end of the game, he chooses to doom the rest of humanity by raiding the hospital single-handedly, eliminating everyone and anyone that could potentially make a cure that is there, and taking her away, and taking Ellie away. You can view it as, oh, he is rescuing Ellie, but wait, Ellie is all in. Ellie is basically fully invested in sacrificing herself for the good of the majority. You know what to say? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. I mean, Ellie is, as a character in the first game, is rather wise for her years. Like she knows, and Joel basically took that from her. And he lies about it. He straight to her face lies about it at the end of the first game, because at the and which is just rather ballsy on his part, because he knows what he's done. He has survivor's guilt because he lost his daughter on the Mushroom Zombie D-Day. And now he's going to have the guilt of humanity, the fate of humanity, all because he projected his trauma and the desire to be a father onto Ellie, someone who is not his daughter. So this ends up having another effect in The Last of Us Part 2. When Ellie finds out, right, she goes back to the same hospital. She goes through she finds records, notes, journals. And she, starts raising into question. She finds a recording and learns exactly what happens, and she wants to hear it from Joel's mouth, and he admits it to her face. He admits what he did. And Ellie is rightfully livid, and she cuts him off, because here's the big thing, and this is why exactly Joel deserved what he got. The survivor guilt that he felt regarding the loss of his daughter on the day of the mushroom zombie apocalypse. Imagine that type of survivor's guilt being projected onto a young person, where the entire fate of the world and every person that is tragically lost to the because, or transformed, mutated, that because they get infected with the spores and stuff within the world of The Last of Us. Imagine the sudden guilt, survivor's guilt, that Ellie ends up feeling. It's like, well, she's already feeling it, but it's basically confirmed when this jackass tells her what he did. And she is essentially cuts him out of her life. Yeah, she agrees to go back to Jackson, but she wants nothing to do with him, and rightfully so because of it. Because again, remember, she was all in wanting to save humanity, and then to learn that was taken away from her because of the selfish desires of the person who was taking her on that journey to what she felt she was destined to do. Ellie is now marked, is traumatized for life. She has that guilt on top of everything else to contend with. So when Abby, who was a member of the Fireflies, catches up with Joel, and that entire scene happens. As far as I'm concerned, as I said, he deserves what he got. Now, here's the other thing about Joel. Because he projected himself as a fatherly figure onto Ellie, and Ellie just so happened to make it to that lodge and witness what happens to him, she has now a compound now has guilt on top of the pain and suffering and the survivor's guilt that she already has. Because of him, she now has to deal with the guilt of cutting him out of her life because of his own selfish actions. Which leads to Ellie going on a journey of revenge, as looking to make things up for him, even though she essentially had the right reactions and justifications because, logically speaking, if Ellie wasn't there for when Abby and company beat the holy tar out of Joel, Ellie probably wouldn't even give two damns about it. Sure, Tommy was there and he probably would have told her, and maybe she would be inclined to go. But but no, she's there. She witnesses it, and that's basically her motivation. So all the trauma, all the pain, all the suffering Ellie is going through in The Last of Us Part 2 is because of him. So again, Joel is just terrible. I mean, and I call into question anybody says that he didn't deserve what he got, because when you're breaking it down, he totally does. He totally does. And again, I'm not even finished The Last of Us Part 2 yet. I have not seen Abby's story in full in terms of how her character is humanized to further justify her actions. Because again, based on what I know about Joel, he deserves what he got. I need no justification to understand Abby's point of view, because I know her point of view from the superficial standpoint. But again, that's just my opinion, my personal headcanon is like Joel deserved what he got. There is no debate in my mind or question about it. Now the big question is later on though is like when I finish The Last of Us Part 2, would I have a different viewpoint on Ellie? Because that is gonna be a whole different conundrum in and of itself. If I choose to do a follow-up video just to see on Ellie, because once I see how her journey is finished at the end of the second game. But we'll get to that and maybe make that a video when we get to that, but no promises in that regard. So with that said, if you totally disagree with me on my opinions regarding Joel from The Last of Us, as he is depicted in the video games, leave your thoughts and opinions, comments and stuff in the comment section below. I would love to read them and see what you think. Like and subscribe if you are so inclined. I'm probably, this is gonna be downvoted to hell and back. But do subscribe because I am trying to grow this channel. I would like to make it into something more than it is. And I need your help in that regards to it. If you would like to support the channel via a small donation, please use my my Stream Elements donation link in the description below. And with that said, tighten your friendship bracelet, stay safe, have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next video.